Warning! This video is not suitable for children. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to yet another spooktacular Halloween event. Today I come to you from Count Snark with... What the fuck am I doing? Mica's here.
Hi, I'm here too.
Why do you sound so small?
Because you were the Count and I'm Mina.
I see. Well, if that's not a dead giveaway... then this should tell people that today's episode is about Mina and the Count, a very good show from way back yonder, and it dawns on me that was probably already spoiled because of the name of the title of the episode. I'm so tired.
Aww.
But yes, today's episode is about Mina and the Count, and yeah.
And?
Hey, I'm thinking, man. Sorry, it's just like... Give me a sec.
You got all frazzled from all the technical difficulties.
I don't think... I mean, maybe, but it's more like my vision, started doing stuff. Give me a sec. I put a whole bunch of stuff next to me to try to... So I wouldn't have to get up.
Yeah, I got water.
I have water, too, but I also put a thing of applesauce and a banana next to me as well, too.
A whole thing of applesauce?
A little pouch. It's not like I have a whole... Mica, it's not like I have a whole, jar of applesauce. I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'm prepared.
Oh, this is good. So it's better than a pouch. They just makes me think of a kangaroo full of applesauce.
No, they're like little squeeze pouch. It's to make it easy on the go. They're a go-go squeeze.
Alright.
It's this generation's Go-Gurt, but apple.
We don't have Go-Gurt over here.
Why does Sweden have not things I like from my childhood?
I mean, we have, squeezy stuff, but that's usually, either stuff that's specifically, nutrition, for, diets and stuff, or it's for babies.
I mean, we got those, too. But, Okay, back over here. My list. My beautiful, sexy list.
If Mina and the Count had been in modern times, the Count could just go around drinking blood out of one of those, and everyone's like, oh, he's one of those Europeans who's all, about his health and stuff.
Meanwhile, I was thinking of, yeah, you would suddenly start up with doing yard work out there, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, what I was going to say was, it made me think more of Eraserhead in My Hero Academia always sucking on, his little jello pouches. It's like, no, it's nothing weird. I'm just what you guys say, I'm a weeb.
You're into the anime Vampire Hunter D.
Have you ever heard of Hunter x Hunter? Or Demon Slayer?
Or what about Chibi Vampire?
It's like, I am a human of great taste. It's unfortunate that this is because
We're starting out strong.
I mean, on the plus side, to be fair, some of this could be cut out, but then go back in with a whole
I'm making a blooper reel, bitch.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, putting it on the Patreon. Give people something to pay you for.
Patreon. What type of establishment do you think I am?
Well, if you like Snark very, very much, then you should give them a nice little $1 or $5 on their Ko-fi.
It is true. I do. Are we doing an ad reel? Fuck you. Also, if we're doing that, then you might as well just give me a like and subscribe.
Yeah, hit that, smash that subscribe button. Come on, everyone. Structure, what is that?
Okay. So, for those who aren't in the know, the show that we're talking about today is Mina and the Count, and as a synopsis, let me quote from the creator's website itself. Mina and the Count follows the adventures of two best friends who are very, very different. Mina Harper is a 7-year-old girl who likes playing with dolls and having tea parties. Count Vlad is a 700-year-old vampire who treats human beings like dolls and prefers to drink blood. A chance encounter with the sweet-hearted Mina brings the Count's monstrous mayhem to an end. Now he spends his nights playing hide-and-seek rather than seeking his next victim. Shut up! This is not about you. Shut up! It's a show created by Rob Renzetti, and you might know him more from his work on My Life as a Teenage Robot. Yeah. One of his most popular shows. Also, I found out, I didn't know this. I knew he worked on things like director of episodes for Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack and other stuff by that creator. Tarkowski. How do you pronounce that dude's name?
I have no idea.
Anyway, okay. In any case, creator of Samurai Jack and also the Hotel Transylvania's movies. He did a lot of work with him because they were apparently not only good friends, but they were roommates.
They were roommates.
Isn't his name Rabietsk? Goddamn.
See, not so fun when it's on your end.
I was I legit didn't know who you were talking about at first, so that's made it also weird. But then I was like, wait,
because it's Jen Travasky or whatever.
It's Gandhi Tartakovsky.
Yes, thank you, Gandhi Tartakovsky. God damn it! I'm not even gonna try to say it.
Tartakovsky.
Yes.
So it's like tårta, but an A instead of an O.
You're speaking in Swedish tongues.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
It means cake. Kikowski.
Cake and Kofsky.
Gandhi Kikowski.
Yes.
Igor's here? Let him have cake.
Let him have cake. We're getting off track so bad. Give me a sec. I'm gonna drink more water.
Water. Are you hydrating, son?
I'm hydrating, Papa. I also broke into your coffee and I'm gonna have a sip of that. Are you becoming Italian, son? No, Papa. Mommy. Oh, I was all ready. I had everything set up and then just, I don't know if it's technology stuff that got into my head from multiple, because not only the restarting the computer stuff, but yeah, it's legit my vision started acting weird.
Stress can do that to you.
Stress can do that to you. I'm built different. I say as
Stress legit has done that to you in the past, dude.
I know.
Don't lie to me.
I know. I'm also thinking says the person who gets literal heart palpitations and have it affect my blood.
Mm-hmm.
I'm built different, as in I'm built worse.
This is going swimmingly. Let's, how did you come to find this show?
Well, I was watching Mina and the Count all the way back when it was first airing on What a Cartoon on Cartoon Network. And
in 1995.
Don't make me feel old.
I was born that year!
Don't make me feel old! No, but yeah, I was watching it back during those days when there was also Seth MacFarlane's predecessor for Family Guy on there as well. But then after that, they started, Channel Frederator? They switched over to having a new show over on Nickelodeon. And around that time, that was when cartoons started. And you had shows like Chalk Zone and other things like that airing. And I was so happy that Mina and the Count like came back, I was like, what the fuck? Except baby version, so it's like, whoa, golly gee! Like, whoa, I remember you, oh man!
Oh, you willikers.
Yeah, and so after that, it's just kind of been a thing of, over the years, just always thinking about it. And I would do like my own fan art from time to time. And I think it was 2014, Nickelodeon had their fan art contest that they were doing. I think they were going to have it like, oh, you win and you get like some sort of cash prize, but also everyone else's fan art's going to be at that year's San Diego Comic-Con. And I remember at the time thinking, oh yeah, I want to participate in this, but what should I do? And I was like trying to think of, well, I want to think outside the box because of the fact that I figured everybody would be doing stuff like Avatar: The Last Airbender and like some of their more classic shows like Rugrats and Cat Dog. Probably a few Rocco Modern's Lives thrown in there. And so I was like, I'm going to reference things that, you know, people probably don't think of as much, even though I think about it way more than I probably should. And I was like, well, I was thinking like it was between Mina and the Count and Chalk Zone, and in the end I ended up doing Mina and the Count because I was like, no, I care about that way more. Like, as much as I do think quite often of, Rhodey, you gotta draw something!
Rudy, you gotta draw something!
Rhodey! But yeah, and so in the end I ended up doing that, and just to say as a by the by, did not place anywhere in that, which is fair, because my art, while like the stuff looked canonically like on model when it came to like the characters and stuff like that, and the background and stuff was fine, but like on a technical skill level, it wasn't the best. Like I used a smaller canvas, and so like the line art was very much kind of jaggedy and digital. I'll put up a thing on the screen so that people can like see what I'm talking about. But yeah, ended up not winning, which fair. But in the end, that didn't really matter because, you know, here I am still thinking about that show to this day.
Yeah.
You were gonna talk about your own upbringing with the show. I say upbringing, I slipped. Oh yeah, it was nursing me on the teat of cartoons.
No, but for me it was very unique because, you know, living in Sweden, well, we did have What a Cartoon. I remember we had that on Cartoon Network. It tended to go on like just the same reruns. Like, I think the only things I ever saw on What a Cartoon was like Two Stupid Dogs.
I mean, fair.
And I think, because I only recently, like, today I was thinking, it's like, oh wait, like right before the recording I was like, did I like find out, I think I found out about the existence of Mina and the Count from like Bleedman. Because I found out about a lot of cartoon through Bleedman.
That makes sense, because they had the in the Bleedman comic, Grim Tales from Down Below, that was when they had the fight of him's daughter fighting vampire Mina.
Oh yeah, man.
And like Mina getting the shit beat out of her, and Vlad was like, no, we've got to stop, throw in the towel, Mina.
Yeah, oh my god. Yeah, I could like just go into a fucking tangent about the fucking Bleedman universe. But I won't.
Not today in any case. That should be a whole other video, which I would love to honestly do that, because I have my...
Do I like a rabbit hole on Bleedman?
Well, if not that, at least like covering one or two of his comics at the very least, which I guess would end up being a rabbit hole because you kind of have to do background stuff. So wait, let's go back. Brain frazzled. So you're saying that you think you may have discovered Mina and the Count through Bleedman?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Yet not, because now we have... Because now we have this video to work on.
Like, I think that might be what happened, because, like, it was definitely one of my earliest, like, stuff that I, like, again, because Bleedman introduced me to a lot of cartoons.
Yes.
Like, he was also the one that introduced me, like, he partially introduced me to Invader Sim, because I know that it was, like, also, I was introduced to Invader Sim directly by a friend of my mom's, who was very into, like, American cartoons.
Yes.
And he would torrent stuff and put them on, like, DVDs for me.
Yes. Vader Zim's another thing I gotta brag and be like, I was there the night it was premiering for the first time on Nickelodeon.
I would have if it ever aired in Sweden at all.
Like, I would have been fanned right then and there if I had it.
This is where my memory of watching Vader Zim for the first time on TV would have been if it ever aired there.
Dinkelberg. But yeah, and then what did you think when, like, seeing, since you ended up finding the show at an older age than I was when watching, what did you end up thinking about it?
I think I liked the art style, I remember that, and also, you know, being like a fucking 10-year-old, I was already, like, at the time I was also really into, like, Lenore and stuff, like, I was really into sort of, like, gothic things.
Yeah.
And I had discovered the part of the story in Lenore where Ragamuffin turns into his vampire form. So, you know, I was all about the Tumblr sexy man before the Tumblr sexy man was a thing.
Like, I was here before Tumblr was a jizz thought in the creator's eye.
Just give me the pale lanky men.
He's like, I knew what people were into before Tumblr told me so.
Yeah, but yeah, so I was just like, oh, the cat's hot.
Yeah.
Even though he's a triangle on a stick.
Blue Dobbity. See, it's funny because, like, I don't think I ever thought, oh, he's hot. But what my thought was, like, I love him so much. He's so endearing. It's like, he's such a funny dork. I love him.
I mean, I was thinking that too. I was just like, again, having introduced to him at like this at the beginning of puberty, I was just basically I put everything, all the media I consumed into like everything I consumed had to be put into like a romantic perspective.
Yeah. That's fair.
I hadn't. This was like right before I got into like queer media.
Yeah.
So I was just doing a bunch of like self-inserts and like just forced heteronormativity.
I mean, that's fair. There's a lot of, like, you go on the fandom space at the time, there was a lot of Mina and Vlad shipping, which, like, I'm not judging, but at the same time, I will say it's like I am of the camp, like, even back then, I was like, oh, I'd rather, like, see them be, like, a family dynamic.
I know I was into it at the time. I definitely feel like it was a very shallow sort of thing. Because it was like, from my perspective, I didn't really think about, like, you know, with the whole vampire thing and stuff like that, I didn't really think of the age gap. And on the other hand, thought the idea of shipping her, like, Mina with, like, Nick was worse because he's a bully.
It's like, I'm not gonna do faux yay, like, rivals shipping.
I didn't even think of it like that. I was just like, he's mean. He's mean to her.
Like, that Malfoy wannabe. Get the fuck out of here.
I was just like, he's a smelly boy. He's not a man.
He's not a 700-year-old sexy blue man.
Stupid boy.
Stupid. But, I mean, fair. I mean, just to throw myself under the bus along with you, so, like, even Stevens. Like, around that time, that's when I was doing things like, which I don't agree with nowadays, just to say, shipping Ron Stoppable and Dr. Draken together from Kim Possible.
Somewhere in the multiverse it happens.
I mean, I will say, like, nowadays, I probably wouldn't mind too much with, like, if you did, like, the whole aging up thing. Same with, like, Kim and Shigo, if you could do, like, oh yeah, years in the future, I haven't seen them in, like 5-10 years after graduating, whatever.
They're all grown up and more mature people.
They've changed. They've fully developed into the people they're probably gonna be for the rest of their lives. But yeah, I wouldn't mind stuff like that. But just at the time, that's not what was out there. Same with like Mina and the Count, where at least with Mina and the Count, I mean, this is not better. But they did age her up to like being like 16, 17.
I think also my brain was so fucking weird at the time because like a lot of these sort of things, like I very rarely thought about like took age into account when I did shipping. On the other hand, I wanted to age her up just so she would be tall enough for them to kiss.
Of course, priorities.
Yeah. I had no appreciation for like fucking size differences at the time.
You hadn't been taught the ways.
No, she should be an adult, but she should still be really short.
It's like
she got dwarfism and she never grew.
now I'm just imagining a situation like where she's just like, I'm just imagining her in the future being Madame Foster for some reason.
Oh my god! I love that.
Just like that tiny, and then you have like Vlad looking the same, and he's still just like doting on her. See, again, this is not even me doing shipping. You could if you wanted to, but like I wouldn't for this. But like,
I'm just thinking of that scene from What We Do in the Shadows movie.
What's this 96-year-old lady doing with a guy 4 times her age?
oh yeah, it's like, oh, you know, it's to calling me a cradle robber.
Anyway. Oh, actually, so, back on my experience with Mina and the Count. So, I don't remember, I'm fairly sure, like, the very first episode is pretty easy to find, compared to all the other ones, especially at the time. But I remember that it took me a while to find all 6 episodes. Like, I would, like, find them over time. And so I didn't know, for a long time, I had no idea how many episodes there actually existed. So it, like, became this sort of, like, you know, lost media experience of just, like, over the years, like, finding, like, because people, you know, would, like, find recordings and release them online.
Yes.
And then they would get removed, and then we would find them again, depending on different websites on YouTube or on, like, torrenting or whatever. And so I would just, like, because I didn't know how many there were, that I would like really look for them. Even once I'd found like all 6 of them, no idea what order they were supposed to be in, except for they have the one where someone actually put the thing of like, this is the last one.
Yeah.
But I hadn't found that at the time, and so I just kept looking for more episodes, at the very least like something. And I found like the most bizarre thing was that I found like this you know, one of those websites where they just have like summaries for episodes of TV shows and sometimes like links to streaming services. And I'd like found that when I was looking for streaming sites. And there were no links to any streaming sites, or the ones that were there were either region locked or something you had to pay for.
Ew, gross.
Yeah. And then, but then I was just like, oh whoa, there's like a bunch of episodes, there's like a whole seasons here of like Mina and the Count episodes, where did they go? And then you actually read the summaries and it's like, what the fuck is this? Someone is like, it doesn't sound like it's part, like it doesn't sound in character with these like pilots at all. So it's like, I pretty quickly realized like, wait, this is fan fiction, isn't it? Someone put fan fiction.
This is fan fiction being presented as like, as this actually happened on a site that's supposed to be telling like, oh yeah, this is what's actually out there.
Yeah, and that's so fucking bizarre. Like, I was thinking before, before things really, like, jumped the shark in terms of what was happening in these summaries, I was thinking, like, at the very least, maybe it was, like, a thing of like, you know, that someone had found, like, scripts or, like, a show Bible or something.
Mm.
And they had, like, taken it from there. So it's stuff that, like, had never been made, but it was, like, plans.
Yes.
But then, you know, just some things just started to get, like, too weird. And like way too dramatic and way too fanficky, and I was like, no. What the hell is this?
This is wrong.
Yeah, it's just like, I've been bamboozled. How dare they? Just write your fanfiction, man.
Just post this on LiveJournal or fanfiction.net.
Yeah. And the best part is like, so I was looking for it again before we started recording, and I found them. Not on the same website, because I couldn't find the website, but I found it on a Wikipedia, on a fandom wiki page. Ooh. Called fictionfoundry.fandom.com. And first of all, in the summary of the wiki itself, it goes like, Fiction Foundry, often abbreviated as FF, which feels off considering FF is usually when you think of fanfiction.net.
Yes.
Like, is an original fiction site, i.e. a place for content that you yourself create that is not based on related or any real-life media. In parentheses, fanfiction is not allowed. And yet, they have Mina and the Count, all these fake episode summaries on this website, and the summaries of the real episodes here as well.
Uh-huh. That makes me wonder if maybe, like, whoever, like, reposted it onto here, if they found the original site that you were talking about, and they also assumed, like, no, these were real episodes.
I looked at the history of the wiki, like, update history, and these were, like, put up at, like, in 2013. But I remember finding them, like, back in, like maybe in, like, 2010 or 2009.
So it is a possibility that it was posted there if someone else did think, like, oh yeah, these were real. But then again, it could just be OP found a new site to just, like, I'm gonna post my things which are real episodes, I swear.
Yeah. You know what's a real episode summary when you have summaries like episode 12, Vampire Investigation. Now that Nick believes in vampires, he is out to find and kill the vampire that hangs out with Mina. He seeks out for someone who specializes in hunting vampires, but that person turns out to be a R-word.
I want you to know, most of what you just said got cut out because of the audio, but all I heard came back was like, oh yeah, because Nick says the R word. And I'm like, what? Yeah, while you were talking, it was like, it was going like, like, it almost sounded like, maybe Skype was trying to, like, catch up or load or whatever. Like, there would be a pause, and then there'd be like,
yeah, that sounds like it's doing that thing. So it was, like, lagging.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You want me to read it again?
Please do, because I need the full context of, like, why does N say the R word? Why does Nick say the R word, I mean?
That person turns out to be a R word. They don't censor it in the actual summary.
See, the problem is, like, a good portion of that sounds like actually pretty feasible.
It sounds like that one episode of Invader Sim.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like, oh yeah, like an actual paranormal hunter.
Paranormal investigator.
Yeah.
Looking at a cow rolling around and this. Also, this apparently debuts Edmund, which I guess is the guy who's the R word.
I see.
Yeah. And then another reason you know that this was definitely this was definitely something Renzetti wrote in his story Bible in the 90s. As episode 13, Glimmer, Mina wants to take Vlad to the cinema and wants to see a vampire film. Vlad hasn't seen any vampire films, so is excited. However, the film disappoints him very much, and he gets mad at all the fangirls and wants to show them real vampires.
Yeah, that's very much of the time. That would have been like 20, because I think the Twilight came out in 2005 as a book. So, like, the movies would have been 2009 to, like, 2013, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't know that Rob Renzetti can predict the future.
Also, you gotta... Okay. So you have, like, the last episode that they showed, that's the canon episode here, is playing a hunch. Because that's what they, officially says this last episode. And so you have, Vlad invited Mina over, although Igor didn't want that anymore. Vlad then tries to hide Mina so that Igor won't discover that Mina is in the castle. Episode 7, Bright Full Moon! After Luna discovered the friendship of Mina and Vlad, she is planning to kill Mina in order to emotionally destroy Vlad. However, every attempt to kill Mina is messed up by humans in her way. Debuts Luna and Dr. West. Who?
I wish they would have made fan art so I can get and appreciate the full vision, because I'm hearing Luna and all I'm thinking about is, like, yes, I'm thinking of I'm the princess of the night. And I'm like, why is Luna here? Why does she give a fuck?
Yeah, it's just like, I'm like, who the fuck is Dr. West?
Is that just a random name they threw out, or were they at least clever enough to, like, that be a reference to something I'm just not getting?
Nope, there's nothing mentioned there. Like, it just says Dr. West debuts there.
Does Dr. West work for Luna?
I don't know. He's not even part of the summary. Or she, I don't know.
Then why does he debut? Why is he there?
And then the next one is like Night at Count's Castle. During a discussion about monsters, Nick says he wants to see who can stay the longest in the abandoned castle on top of the hill. Mina, Martha, Peter, Jesse, Deem, and Dwin all accept the challenge to stay the whole night at the castle. Debuts Klaus and Jesse. I don't know who the fuck Klaus is. He is not mentioned in the summary. Jesse is at least mentioned. Still don't know who it is. For some reason, Martha and Peter are not debuted, apparently. When were they previously established?
Are these...
I'm guessing that Deem and Dwin are the twins that would follow Nick around.
Yeah. Are these, like, his, like, fellow classmates? I'm gonna, like... they have to be his classmates, because who else the fuck would they be?
Yeah, like, I'm guessing Martha is the girl with the glasses. You know, this just isn't my day. I have no idea who Peter is, or Jesse is.
You ever just see background characters and decide to name them?
I mean, that's a whole portion of the My Little Pony fandom.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, A Nightmare on Foggy Lane. A monster called Dreamcaster is reaping the dreams of the children and turns them into nightmares.
You know, I actually kind of like that one.
After Vlad and Mina finds out, they try to make the Dreamcaster come to them so they can defeat him, because they're heroes now.
I feel like I see what they're going for with all this. I feel like they're thinking too much action-adventure when, like, the original show was very much morbid humor, like comedic fantasy, and a bit more slice of life.
Very Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah. Which...
Very Danny Phantom, very Kim Possible. Very anime.
Yeah, and it's like, that's not what Mina and the Count is. It's like, guys, it's just a 700, I cannot say 700. A 700-year-old man who is actually not a man, but a vampire, essentially, like, adopts a little girl because she's too cute to, like, fuck over. As in mess with or get rid of. Not any other term.
Age 700. Gender vampire.
Oh, he's just like us.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm gonna assume from, like, apparently the episode where... Episode 16, Luna has returned and wants to kill Mina. This is one called The Howling. So I'm gonna assume Luna is an actual werewolf.
That would make sense.
And so, I guess she wants to kill Mina to get to Vlad because vampires and werewolves are natural enemies, like in Van Helsing movie.
And like in Twilight.
Oh yeah. Well, Van Helsing was first.
Oh, look at Van Helsing being all first.
Yeah.
But who did it better?
I mean, like, the Twilight didn't have a guy going, "Oh, Gabriel."
Well, you got me there. It did not have that.
And dancing to people's heartbeats. God. Who the fuck is Karloff?
Isn't that, as in from, like, Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Maybe. When Mina and Vlad are playing, Victor storms into the castle and says that Karloff is missing, and that they have to find him. Mina decides to go along with Victor to find him. Vlad and Igor, meanwhile, try to comfort Mary. So they suddenly just have a bunch of Bram Stoker characters coming in.
There's a lot of me going, I get what they're going for, considering, like, Mina and her sister Lucy all come from, like, the book. But at the same time...
This is the first time they're mentioned.
Yeah.
As far as I can see. And they're not even mentioned as it being their debut.
Just like, oh, the best character, Karloff. Oh, yep, Karloff, been here the whole time.
Oh no, not Karloff!
Like, oh, we gotta save him.
Like, a real hunter, After school, Nick is approached by a vampire hunter who calls himself C. He says he knows who Nick is hunting and wants to get rid of him. And Mina too. The two team up and do an assault on the Count's castle, debuts vampire hunter C.
Vampire Hunter Steve?
Mm-hmm. No, C as the letter.
Okay, oh. I mean, that's not better.
Because have Vampire Hunter D, the anime character.
I see.
You see.
No, see, for a moment, like, that's not better, but at the moment I was worried, like, Vampire Hunter Steve?
I would have preferred that. That's fucking hilarious.
Like, oh, yes, I'm Vampire Hunter Steve!
You may call me Vampire Hunter Steve.
Oh, yes, I know. My name strikes fear in all who hears me.
Oh, no. We all know about him. Steve.
Like, Steve? Yes. Oh, don't say his name too loud.
But yeah. So that's a bizarre thing.
See, the thing is, I have no problem with this, like, if this was just, like, on someone's, like, DeviantArt or, like, Tumblr, like, page talking about, like, oh, ideas I would love to see to, like, flesh out a show. Because, like, I mean, we do stuff like that all the time, talking about, like, oh, if we were going to remake this show, how would we do this? Like, that would be fun.
That's what we're going to talk about later.
Yes. But in this case, it becomes a thing of, because they're presenting it as fact of, like, oh, yeah, this happened, even though, never did. It makes me want to, like, judge it more than, like, because, again, it's the whole presenting as fact, and then if you don't know anything about Mina and the Count, and you're, like, finding this for the first time, that's going to set up your whole, like, identity of what this show is.
Yeah, like, I had enough sense at the time to realize that something was wrong. Because, like, especially, and it's even more confusing when it is on a website that actually, like, advertise itself as being a place for episode summaries of real TV shows.
Yes.
This is not even that. So I can at least give it, you can at least give it a thing that it is a fan wiki for, like, fiction, like, original fiction. Like, it's like a double wrong here. Like, it's not fraud, technically. Like, it's not someone, like, you're not tricking anyone because it's not a place for episode summaries. But that at the same time, it's like, what is this even doing here?
Yes.
Like, there's so many reasons this shouldn't be here.
Yes.
Can we talk about the actual show?
Yeah. But I will say, like, when it comes to the creator, Rob Renzetti, something I found interesting for why Mina and the Count only had so many episodes as they did. During that interview, they brought up about how the execs were a bit uncomfortable with the aspect of, like, little girl being friends with a really old vampire. But they were like, hey, I like your work, we like what you're doing, just not this. Can you, like, maybe pitch another idea to us? And that's when he came up with, it wasn't My Life as a Teenage Robot, it was the predecessor of that, which was, like, My Boyfriend is a Robot. And it was about a teenage girl and her boyfriend being, like, a superhero, like, robot sort of thing. And the people at Frederator kind of put a hand on his shoulder and was like, look, you just got turned down from the whole mixed species friendship / romance sort of stuff. Maybe pitch something else?
And then you get My Life as a Teenage Robot that's like very much steer away from any actual official romance. It's all just like will they, won't they's, and barely even that.
Yeah. And it became the thing of, like, instead of having it one step removed, it becomes like, oh yeah, I am the robot. It is me. This is my show.
I kind of like that. It's like, it's interesting in the sense that it's like very much focused on the idea of, instead of it being like, oh, I am special for having, like, the special friend. It's a thing of, like, no, I am the special friend. I am the outsider.
Yeah. It makes for, like, a good contrast of not only being like, oh, I am super, I am great, but also allows for, like, I am othered in this department, and how Ginny longed to be human like the rest of them.
I kept wanting to, like, find a rhyme there. I am super, I am great, I am othered. Don't berate.
Don't berate. But yeah, I just found that interesting that the creator had, like, this preference towards wanting to tell stories of, I guess it would be people from different sides of, what's the phrase I'm thinking of? Because, like, my brain was like, the different sides of the fence, and I'm like, what?
Two sides of the same coin?
No, it's not exactly what I was thinking of. In any case, just the characters that kind of come from two different worlds, but they're friends. And it just, I don't know, that's interesting to me.
Yes. It makes sense, like, again, but contrasts and, like, opposites attract, it's always just, like, makes for good fiction.
Yes. That all said, we should probably talk about the order in which to have the best viewing experience for this show. Which,
in our opinion.
Yeah, in our opinion. Mostly because you have, like, the production order, but I feel like because things kind of jump all over the place when it comes to, like, the type of story, like, or at least different points of where the dynamics are, it makes more sense to go against production order, and this will be the list that I'm going to put on screen right here of what we believe is the best way to view this.
Yeah, so, you know, once you see this, and if you haven't seen the show yet, go watch it. I'm pretty sure you can find, like, all episodes of YouTube by this point. Other than that, there's, like, you know, there are other means to find it.
Yeah, you can look elsewhere. Wink, wink. I have a friend named Kim who's into cartoons.
Cartoons make my eyes itch.
Who keeps switching nationalities.
Well, it's not their fault.
They're being hunted by the feds.
Like, they do this for you. The least you can do is be nice to them.
It would be nicer if I will say, if you go there, the Vampire Coming to Dinner, like, watch that on YouTube, because the one that's on other websites are completely out of sync.
Yeah, Kim's version sucks. I'm sorry, Kim, but it's bad.
Yeah. Like, again, YouTube is an easy source. It's all, like, it's all pilot stuff. Like, I guess they're not as keen on copyright claiming that stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it, preferably in this order, in our opinion, and then come back here and listen to us have opinions about it.
Yes, because from there on out, that's when we gotta pull up our big boy pants, gotta straighten our hats, maybe flick a nipple or two, and go into the show. Talking
My titties
into
are
the
tenderized.
What was that?
Sorry, I was quoting Nerdy Prudes Must Die when it says, "My titties are tenderized."
I'm happy for you.
Because they pull on a guy's suspenders. Like, anyone ever done this? And he's like, "Yes, my titties are tenderized."
Delightful.
Yeah. Also, something that I noticed when I was looking at the credits is, like, holy shit, the cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got fucking, like, Michael Bell, Mark Hamill.
Yes.
As Vlad. Yeah, like...
Did you not know?
I did not know! Because I'm an idiot who don't look at credits.
Yeah, and then you have Tara Strong as Mina, and then you had Jeff Bennett as Igor.
Also, it was the very first episode, it was Ashley Johnson who did the voice of Mina.
Yes. But they ended up replacing her after that.
Yeah. She got too expensive.
Is that really the reason?
I don't know. She was in What Women Want, who knows?
That all said, I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to go into the last thing that we wanted to talk about, which is essentially what would we want to do with the Count if we were to, like, reboot it and modernize it for, like, a today's audience. We can start with, like, going over Interlude with the Vampire.
Something that I always thought about with episode 1 is that Igor did not deserve what he got.
When it comes to the end?
I mean, like, he did, like, because Vlad, he's just like, oh, this last time I let Igor deal with the schedule, and it's like, there's nothing wrong with the schedule, you got the address wrong.
Well, he did write down the wrong name, and which I assume, like, we talked about this once before, but I'll, like, say it here. The idea that he was probably going through, like, a phone book or something, getting, like, addresses, and the idea that Nina and Mina, Harper and Harker were, like, really close to each other, so, like, probably just the moment, like, he was skimming through or looked away for some reason, trying to go back and then actually writing the wrong address down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess still doesn't deserve to be, like, severely punished, I guess, but at the same time, I think that's kind of important for, like, a start now point of, like, showing where Vlad starts out with when it comes to, like, oh yeah, he, as a Dark Prince of the Night, he was a douche to begin with. What was that?
He slaps cats.
He sure does. Just, like, walking by and you just go,
as opposed to Mina, who will excessively pet a cat.
yes. You know, I didn't even think about that. That's probably the whole point of doing that, is to show the contrast between the two of them.
You didn't think of that until now?
The first time I watched the show was when it first came out, and so I would have been like, because it was 1995. I would have been...
Yeah, but you've had years to think about it.
Well, after a while, you stop thinking about it because it just becomes like, yeah, he did that.
Alright, fair.
Like, that's like going like, oh, you never thought about the process of breathing before? It's like, no, because it's been a part of me for so long.
When do you just go like, and then, and you live?
Yeah. It's like, oh, you didn't realize that's, like, how amazing that is that you just instinctually do that. It's like, no, because it's instinctual. Fuck you.
Something that I thought was a shame. I remember when we were watching it together, and I wanted to look back to check on it because it would have been so fun if it was the thing. It was that, like, at the boarding house for young women that he goes to, I wanted to look like who it belonged to because it had, like, a name. And it was Myers, but it would have been so funny if it had been, like, Helsing.
Yeah.
Because that would explain why he could get his ass kicked by this, like, lady.
Yes. I will say, like, for a reboot, I would, like, keep Myers just as a hindsight thing. Even though, like, Stephanie Myers wasn't even a thing back then. She existed, just not as a child. She would have been in her 20s at the time.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, so, like, as a reboot concept, I would keep Myers. But I do think, like, for, like, the show as it was, it's like, is that another reference we're just not getting? Because otherwise, they should have just stuck to making references to, you know, Dracula.
Mm.
Another thing to talk about when it comes to the first episode, and this is, like, comparing to, like, what I would change anyway, would be the fact that which I can see why execs would, like, be creeped out by it, is it being specifically him targeting young women or, like, targeting like 16-year-olds.
Yeah, like there was some like one, like you saw, like, someone like a 20 or 22-year-old on the list, but it was like
Yeah. So, like, I can see that being uncomfortable, and I would personally change that to, like, not be gendered, and two, maybe make it a point of, like, 20 to 25-year-olds of, like, any gender, because it's like, oh, it's about that young blood.
But not so young that they're, like, still developing because you don't want them to fucking die.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it's like, if I were to, like, suck the blood of a child and they died, like, you know there's gonna be a whole investigation. Like, I don't want to fucking get killed.
And I'm not even full!
Yeah, and it's like, then I'm going to go hunt another child. And two dead children in the same night? Oh, man. Cops will be on it.
It's just bad optics.
Like, you gotta think long term.
You gotta take from someone who, like, I mean, best case scenario, you take from someone who will, like, straight up just consent because they think you're just being kinky. But that's going into a territory that's not for a kid show.
Yeah. But yeah, I would definitely make it like put an emphasis on that, and it's like what you can make like this would go into the reason why he's there is specifically I would keep Lucy but age her up from being a teenager to being college age. And I would make it so like, oh, she recently probably during like, because this will be like the start of a new year, like school year, she had gone off to like the dorms and stuff like that, and then because she had like the bigger room, more space, Mina was able to like have her sister's room, and the like I guess her old room maybe got turned into like an office for her dad for Mr. Harper. But yeah, like the idea of like, oh yeah, that's why if you want to keep the whole schedule thing, or in the sense of like, oh yeah, he was purposely going to get Lucy, but then it's like, oh, you're younger than what's on the list here.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Lucy.
I mean, basically, like, there's not much of a difference in terms of like what actually happens in the episode. Just I do love the joke of like the whole like the blanket just looking like a curvy body only to fall down, and it's like wait,
like
the glasses.
like you're a lot smaller.
Aren't you a little short to be 19? Like.
I was about to go into Invader Zim and go, it's a skin condition. But yeah, like, essentially, I would go, like, keep a lot of that the same, except I would kind of show within the episode maybe a little less him hating playing games with Mina, like, making it, like, I know, like, you could debate that him going, like, oh, the third tea party, oh.
2 sugars, please.
Yeah, like, I would maybe like lean into it more to make it more obvious of like him kind of going like, oh, it's not like I like tea parties or nothing, baka. And do that with like maybe a few other games as well.
Yeah, like having be very like just be like, no, I don't want to do this, but then once he actually is in the play, like actually playing the games, he's actually invested. He's just like you have a thing of just being like, oh no, not that other tea party, and then like just do a little time skip, and now he's like gossiping with the teddy bear. He did not just say that.
Did you hear what Igor said to the bride of Frankenstein? You're right, I can't believe it either.
Scandalous.
But yeah, like essentially make more of a deal and like really lean into start an activity. And because I'm imagining like a montage of like starting activities, like but then you do like almost like a wipe with the camera, and then suddenly it's him really being into it. Oh, jump rope! Nobody likes jumping rope. I mean, cut to it's like wee, like really getting into it, doing tricks.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting if the idea, like, the thing that actually gets him sort of is the fact that he, like, it does wear him down because he hasn't eaten all night.
Yeah. And that would help lean into, like, why he's like, oh, but Mina, must we keep continuing? It's like...
having him be all worn down on that, like, would also explain why he wouldn't just, like, when the dad comes in, that he wouldn't just, like, turn into a bat immediately, because he's, like, he kind of is out of spoon, so it takes more effort to transform, so he couldn't do it on such short notice.
Yeah. It's like, it's fine, I'll just be a giant, awkward, human-shaped blow-up doll stuffed animal.
With B.O.
That was the added effect.
you know they put scent on dolls.
I mean, they do at Build-A-Bear.
They have like Care Bears that do that.
Yeah. It makes me think of like the same line of toys which would have been out around those times, like a lot of the like gross toys, like the Garbage Pail Kids sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like boys with their gross versions of like the toys that girls have. But yeah, I think that, and then on a similar note of like, he's gonna continue like playing with her because, now they're best friends.
And then episode 2, which is the my best friend. Yeah.
Yes.
Something that I noticed in my second viewing, not second of all time, but recent second viewing, was that we already knew that like when the whole class is like laughing at her after doing her after finishing her report, you can see like the text on the chalkboard has turned into just a bunch of ha ha ha. But what I also noticed was that even the papers that she had scattered across the floor had shaped into ha ha ha's.
That's a good touch of detail.
Yeah, it's like, oh man. So I needed to appreciate that out loud.
Yes. Honestly, I think the only issue I really have, like, with the episode, when it comes to what I would change, essentially would be the reason why, like, I think we talked about this before, the idea of making it less about, like, the whole, like, my best friend, but more focusing on, like, wanting to be scary, because, like, maybe this is, like, a costume contest coming up for school, since it's, like, make it centered, like, oh, it's almost Halloween, sort of thing.
If you're the one who can make the scariest outfit, gets a prize, and then you have, just to, like, really rub it in, you have Nick being all like, oh, you can't be scary, look at you.
Yeah, because essentially it would set up for the same things happening when it comes to, like, her being made fun of by everybody. Then you would also have, like, Vlad teaching her, like, how to be like him, only for her to do it, and then, like, they laughed at me.
Yeah. Everybody laughed all day long.
They never laughed when I do it. But yeah, like, so, like, it would become a situation where that response of her learning how to be scary makes more sense, because otherwise it's like, what's her plan? Her plan is just you will start making fun of me. Just for the heck of it. It's like, why would that work? like
did you use the voice? Like, yeah, sure, she used the voice, but also she does not have, like, the vampire, like, the magical vampire charm that you have.
Yeah. I also feel like that's one of those things of, like, don't get me wrong, because when I was that age, I did similar shit. Like, when it came to training myself how to do the march like Invader Zim.
To fucking get the straight legs out?
Yes, I legit did that. Leaning back, straight legs out.
God, I remember I would, like, trail out a little bit, I would just fall over.
Yeah, like, I would do stuff like that, or, like, I made myself run, like, double D when I was younger. To be fair, that helped because I had a big chest as a kid, and so it's like...
yeah, just lift them up.
Yeah, it's like, taking this package with me. But yeah, like, so, like, stuff like that, so I understand, like, as, like, a child motivation when it comes to why you would think that would work, but I was thinking more from, like, a story narrative point of view. Why would that work when the point of the episode started off with, like, they don't believe that my friend is real?
Yeah.
So I think that's why centering it around the Halloween thing, setting it up with having, like, Vlad's help, like, not only to scare Nick, but maybe to, like, end up scaring, like, her whole class during the contest.
Yeah. Also, it kind of, like, the fact that he wants, like, I mean, it's nice that he wants to help her, like, make Nick believe in Vlad, but he also didn't want more people to believe in him.
Yeah, because it started off with, like, oh, it's like, nobody believed me. It's like, whew. I mean, oh, yeah. No.
Yeah, so it's like, it's like, and of course, it's like, sure, you can assume that, okay, one kid making this claim, and no one believes him, why would they believe it if another kid did it? But at the same time, it's like, the more kids say it, the more believable it becomes.
Yes.
You know, even if you don't believe in like, maybe, you know, an actual supernatural being, it's like, you know, there's a man in the woods.
Yeah, Mina's friends with a grown man.
That man!
Man!
I don't like Mina spending time with that man.
But yeah, so like I think that in the end, just really essentially reframing the point of the episode more so than what happens in the episode is what I think would make it stronger in the end.
Yeah, because like the best part of the episode overall, anyway, is like the whole the little montage of Vlad like teaching Mina how to be scary and her just totally failing and just being delightful and and whimsical.
Yeah.
I love her just trying to pull all the faces and then looking very half-assed, and then the moment he smiles, she just gives a normal, bright smile.
Yes. Like this? We've got work to do.
Hey. But yeah.
Then the episode after that, the vampire who came to dinner. Yes. Thinking about it, either keeping it about, like, the introduction of Lucy, which I think is fine, especially with him not having, Vlad not having eaten all night because, like, oh, I'm going over to their house. And, like, Igor was supposed to have things made ahead of time. I can see that leaning into, like, oh, the target demographic of people that I, like, used to feast on. I say used to because I like the idea of, as the series goes on, with Vlad kind of being influenced by Mina, to him going, like, well, I don't, like, it seems wrong to, like, eat something if I'm friends with one of them. So, like, oh, I need to go vegetarian, I must drink non-fresh blood. But yeah, so like either doing anything, like if you have that, I think it makes sense for like, oh, like yes, I'm starving, so of course like the more primal monstrous urges start coming out, and that becomes Vlad trying to hold that back while also trying to seem like I am a normal person who's like should be allowed around your 9-year-old daughter.
Yeah, I mean, like that's like one of the best bits of that, like one of the best bits in the franchise overall. But like that I really like franchise, but like in the series of shorts is like the whole thing with the pulse.
Yes,
and because that's like it just like it's strangely like real, you know, for just the way, how goofy the cartoon can be.
Yeah, like it's. I think it shows like hyperfixation well. I think it shows impulse control.
Yeah, just like the anxiety.
Yeah. I think that becomes like a good thing to show, and also
it's also that was definitely a factor of why people were into him. I'm telling you that whole scene is a big factor to why people were into him and thought he was hot.
Ah, yes.
People love to see a man struggle.
Yes.
The scene's literally thirsting.
I'm trying to think what my opinion on when it comes to the whole Lucy and Mina like fighting over serving him food. On one hand, like within the episode how they did it, I thought it was fine. Like I get it, like the cartoon hijinks. I just think if they're gonna come to like the whole thing with like Vlad coming to dinner, I kind of want it to be more general family judging him rather than 100% about like, oh no, Lucy. Like, of course that will be a thing, but I want Mr. Harper to be allowed to do a bit more.
Yeah, have him be a bit more like scrutinizing. Like heck, especially if you do the whole like just equal, you know, have Vlad be an equal opportunity kind of guy. Then, like, imagine Mr. Harper being just taking him to the side, you know, just being like having a conversation as adults, and then it's no shit, I can't be left alone with this like grown man who's got a pulse.
Yeah, like because by that point he's starving, so like in general, oh, grown men with their
it's just a walking, talking bag of blood, you know.
Yeah. Also, something I want to have come up within the episode, since it got brought up, was because if the lie is that he's Mina's violin tutor, I want there to be a scene where Mina's like her father convinces them that like, oh, Mina should show what she's learned, and then you can use his Vlad's hypnotist abilities like to actually control her into actually playing well.
Yeah, there's
they're different. Yeah, that's definitely, like, that sounds more fun than... Like, my first thought when the moment you said him, this was just that, like, hypnotizing, like, Mr. Harper and Lucy into, like, believing she was playing well.
Oh, that works too!
Yeah.
That's a way funnier joke, actually.
It's like, you see, she's just
like,
playing terribly, and they're like...
like, oh, Mina, wonderful!
He's like, really?
Meanwhile, you cut to the side and you see Vlad, like, doing something with his fingers, and, like, you hear, like, the sound of, like, sound effect of, like, woo, 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 woo.
Yeah.
Just, like, really put in, like, oh, yes, Vlad is the reason why they think that shitty playing was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just in general, like, I think, again, like, having a bit more purpose of, like what I think the point of that episode should be, which is just like, oh yeah, the introducing Vlad to the family and, like, kind of, like, making them not think he's sus.
Yeah. I think the whole thing with the garlic, I like it. Like, I don't think it should play as big of a part of the story, you know?
Yes.
Like, I get the point, but it's like, it just becomes the thing that, like, gets him out of the house, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like Mina should know. Like, it would be one thing to be, like, have a garlic forced upon him by another family member, because, like, you know, Mina forgetting to think about, like, you know, telling them about it. But I can't imagine Mina herself making food with garlic in it for Vlad.
Something you could do with that would be, like, you have Lucy who made, like, the garlic dinner, whatever the fuck it was. It was, like, garlic potato salad, right?
No, it was, they had the potato salad and the gelatin, and then when they were the main course, they both had two different, the garlic stew by Mina, and then Lucy had the garlic and onion soup.
Yes. What I would do would make it so that, like, maybe for a moment you have the idea of, like, oh, Vlad is going to, like, force himself to eat something because of, like, Lucy offering to him, only for, like, maybe Mina comes in afterwards with, like, the Jell-O at a different point because she was, like, doing finishing touches or something, to see that, like, Vlad was, like, almost about to take a bite, only for her to go, like, no, he's allergic. And then have her, like, smacking it out of his hand, and then have
them getting mad at her first because it's like, it matters.
Yeah, also, like, Lucy being all like, what kind of guy's allergic to garlic? Like, what are you, a vampire? But yeah, point being, I would be fine with after that if maybe, because of, like, putting the pressure of the whole, what are you, a vampire? Him trying it anyway, and then that gets him sick enough even from just, like, one, like, bite, to then that's what rushes him out.
Yeah, and then, like, they have to... And I like that, because it's like, this is why you're considerate of your guests. You can't just be like, question his allergies, man.
Yes. Have Mr. Harper come in and, like, actually kind of scolds Lucy with the whole, look at that, you made him self-conscious.
Yeah.
And then end the episode with Igor taking care of them. Like, I like the idea of, like, one, like, doing the doting, like, servant / housewife, or I guess in this case, male wife, joke with it, but at the same time also having him the whole time reprimanding, is like, see, this is why you shouldn't be around humans. And just the episode kind of just ends on him being, like, sick and miserable, but at the same time it's like, yes, but, you know, anything for Mina, you know?
Yeah, like, all in all, it was fun.
Yeah. Like, oh, but Igor, all unpleasantness aside, it made me feel alive. And then, like, have, like, the stomach gurgle, like, noise, and it's like, oh, and it's like, yeah, I'm sure you're feeling lots of things right now.
But yeah, so, episode 4.
Yes, playing a hunch.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that, especially for, like, there's the dynamic between Vlad and Igor that's really strong here, which I kind of like the development of him going from being a bit more of a pushover, like, afraid of his master, to kind of them getting a bit more equal footing, and there's a sassiness to that relationship that starts developing there that I really like. It makes me think of how, as Wander Over Yonder went on, how the relationship between Peepers and Hater developed, going from like, oh, like, yes, sir, and listening and also being terrified of being hurt to having to act like the brain of the relationship.
Yeah.
And I feel like you see a lot of that, like, starting to develop at play here.
Yeah, and then like also the whole thing of like where when you ask yourself like, why is this guy in this position putting up with this, and it's like, well, because he's seeing him at his best and he loves it.
Yes, like, oh, it's not his master's fault. It's that girl.
You know, I just had a thought that's like bizarre. Or not bizarre, but it's like, it's just interesting to see, because like, this is the sort of story that I've mainly only seen in kids' cartoons, you know, like when you have like the monster or something, or like some bad guy get like, you know, who's going through a chain, sort of like, the redemption arc, and then they have like the underling or like some friend who's just like, oh, you've changed, you know, and you mainly, I feel like you mainly see that in like, in cartoons and stuff like that. But then I was like, when talking about it right now, it's just like, something that I've seen it recently in live action is Our Flag Means Death.
That makes sense, because it's very, like, comedy-based and also plays with, like, unsavory people being the main characters.
Yeah, but it's just so interesting that I can, like, compare Igor to Izzy Hands.
Yes.
Yeah. Just having, like, with that, especially... I mean, even more you can compare, like, someone like Commander Peepers to Izzy Hands with, like, having this ideal vision of their leader. That might not be 100, but and feeling like they know them better than anyone, only to find out that, like, that might not be the case.
Like, yes, this is the best version of what I like to see about them, but were they happy? No.
So that is interesting to see.
Yes,
And
I think...
I'm glad that we're getting that sort of story in a show for adults, because I think it's important to see.
I also think, like, in this case of the show, like, I have no notes of what I would change. I think it's, like, perfectly fine.
Yeah. I the notes that I made was mostly just like little like stuff that I like about the scene. Something I went like, the shipper in me wishes that the cat would have used a different excuse than a bug to distract Igor from spotting Mina.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, like, he, like, pulls him by the lapels, you know?
Yes.
Like, pulls him by the collar, and it's just, like, to make him, like, not look behind him, and the excuse is that it's a bug, when Igor clearly doesn't care.
Yes. You know...
Gonna just, like, be like, let me look into your eyes for a moment, you know?
Yeah. It's like, oh, how have I never noticed before how beautiful your heterochromia is?
I was like, well, thank you.
Like, the way they go wall-eyed, oh, it drives me crazy, Igor.
Or it's like, you want to go more, if you don't want to go that hard, it can even just be something like, you got something on your face.
Yes, like, let me just get it off. To the whole, like, licking thumb going...
And then it's like, oh, wait, turned out it. Oh, no, wait, that's just a mole. It's supposed to be there.
Like, it's like, Master, you're hiding something from me.
What do you mean? Oh, Igor is, like, fucking cool in that one.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, I like the fucking, like, him, like, when he, like, slides down the fucking... like, armrest of the stairs.
Yes.
And, like, when they go, like, see you downstairs.
Yeah.
Like, what I wrote in my I was like, Igor kind of rules in this one, even though he ain't based yet.
Yes.
And then I quoted, like, see you downstairs, and I'm like, yeah, he fucks.
Like, oh, yeah, I see why Vlad keeps him around.
Yeah! Igor tops.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what to say about short men. I don't know.
Napoleon complexes. But yes, like, I think the only thing I would note and this goes back to like one of the topics I also wanted to bring up was I prefer like cartoons like this being episodic, but I prefer the certain type of episodic where it will make references to previous things as like throwaway comments, or at least like, oh yeah, that one time this happened.
Like you can't, you like, if you want to, you can map out like a chronological order to everything, even though it's like not crucial.
Yeah. And I would save like major changes for like specials and like season like finale sort of stuff.
Mm.
But I bring
Very
that
much
up
like
because,
a lot of stuff these days.
yes, I would. The reason I bring this up is because I want this to be a major thing after the vampire who came to dinner, because it becomes more of a thing of like he was already like, wary of like the whole development anyway. It gives the implication like since then he had been spewing on and on about humans and how like, oh, you used to be like this, like you haven't been the same since you've been hanging out with that little girl.
The human, that mortal.
Yeah. Like it becomes a thing of like that's why the whole talk of Glad being like, no, I don't even like humans anymore. I don't hang out with her. Like it puts more of an emphasis on why it suddenly seems like it matters.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, heck, like especially with what actually happens in the episode, it's like Igor seems like a bit like oblivious of what happened, aside from him just being sick.
Mm-hmm.
But like the way we told it, our idea of the vampire came to dinner, it would definitely like sort of emphasize. I would feel that really being a cause for Igor doubling down on being like, yeah, you shouldn't see her anymore.
Yeah, like you already have like the bias when it comes to like
fraternizing with humans.
Yeah, like the socialization aspect and like what others will think. But considering no one has like gotten wind of it and it's like not really doing anything, it becomes a thing of like, yeah, within their own home, it's like I will help my master out however I can. But then here it's no, this is actually detrimental to you. It's like it's one thing once you like get off of going out and hunting and like you have me like bringing stuff from the blood bank, but like now you're physically hurting yourself, and it's like, when was the last time you were actually terrified?
Yeah.
Look what she's doing to you.
Yeah, like it's like I like that it like comes from like just a place of genuine like concern.
Yes.
But yeah, and I just like it. Oh, these fucking put him in a straitjacket.
Yes, it's like, oh, we'll get her out of your system.
Like, it's an illness, we'll cure you.
Like, shh, just rubbing his head, like, we'll get through this together.
God.
But yeah, really, like, through that episode, playing a hunch, I think, one, you set up Igor's, like, issues with his fraternizing with Mina because of, like, what happened in the previous episode. But then you can also start setting up stuff for the episode after that, the Ghouls Tribunal. Because then it kind of, like, all comes together with, look, people will talk. Not only that, like, it's one thing, like, that's one thing. Like, I can help you hide this. But once it starts, like, getting to your health, I'm like, I gotta put my foot down.
Yeah. But once the Ghoul Tribunal happens, then that's when becomes the reason we have that after playing a hunch, is because it gives a sense of character development for Igor. Because he's starting to lean more into, like, actually, like, he found a way to make it work. Because he realizes that, because, like, clearly he's already, like, by the point in the beginning, going by the beginning of the episode, and, like, there's the change between the episode previously, you know, he goes from being a straitjacket to not being in a straitjacket, and still hanging out with Mina, and now without having to hide it from Igor. It gives a vibe of just, like, Igor kind of, like, while he's still complaining, you know, it's, like, ultimately, the Count is still his master, so of course, like, if Vlad doubles down, then, you know, like, he won't be able to stop him.
I would go the idea of, like, this doesn't have to, like, actually happen, like, shown on screen sort of thing. But my idea is probably, like, maybe because of being, like, upset and, like, put in the straitjacket, getting to the point where he's even refusing to eat anything or like drink anything and until he gets out. And so like it kind of becomes a thing of kind of like how with when you're going with people with like addiction issues.
God. He's addicted to a little girl.
That's the closest thing I can think of from like Igor's point of view when it comes to things like that. If someone's so stubborn with it, it's better to set up to where like, hey, you can get your fix, but in like a supervised environment. And also like I'd rather you hang out with this little girl than like starve yourself.
I mean, I suppose it feels a bit too, like, I think it's like might be a bit too serious. And then there's also the fact that it's just like, even when we don't see it, like blood can just turn into a bat.
Yes.
Get out of the restraints.
Unless you see it's like, Master, we have access to magic.
Oh my
it changes with you. No, but like I said, this is not something I would show on screen when it comes to that, like the reasoning, giving context of like flavor text sort of thing of like, it's probably a thing of he was so upset and pouting that he's like started refusing to eat or talk or anything after like getting so upset with Igor.
Giving Igor the silent treatment.
Yeah. It's like I'd rather starve than deal with your BS, Igor.
Like, giving me the silent treatment now, are we?
One two can play this game.
Sure.
Takes like a couple seconds, like, Master, please say something. It's been so long since I heard your beautiful voice.
But yeah, and then, having too much fun. Eventually, when he finally gets to hang out with Mina again, having too much fun, completely forgetting about card night.
Yeah. I mean, because, like, Vlad's attitude kind of makes sense if you base, like, this order. Because, like, one, he's already kind of done with Igor shit. But two, within the episode, Igor was already, like, complaining still. And so he's just assuming that that's what Igor is, like, going to do. Like, has something else to say that's going to ruin their, like, fun, like, playtime. Only for, in actuality, it was him telling him, like, I'm trying to tell you. But yeah, like, it gives context of why Vlad is, like, kind of insistent on ignoring him.
Yeah. Something that I was, like, just...
No, what were you gonna say?
Something that amused... I talked to you about this, like, last time while we were watching it together, that it just really amuses me, is the whole joke about spin the bottle.
Yes.
Because, like, yeah, you got Frankenstein's monster bringing his wife to the game, and then you have both Igor and then also the mummy guy pulling the whole just like, how about a game of spin the bottle? Like,
yeah.
And it's just like, what, between all you guys and this one lady, you're more likely to kiss another dude, my man.
It's like, yeah, and
just imagine like them like being like, fine, and then they go play spin the bottle, and then just as soon as they start, the wife just goes like, I need to go powder my nose.
yes.
And there's just a bunch of guys kissing.
I mean, well, I would be okay with that happening within the show. I don't think it should. Like, I don't think execs will get away with it. But yeah, that is a good point of, like, I get it because, haha, one woman, she's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it comes like, yeah, why don't you play spin the bottle? See what happens.
Yeah. Like, you have a better chance at, like, 7 minutes in heaven.
Yes. I mean, in the end, they shouldn't be, like, trying to mech on another guy's wife anyway.
Like,
especially without consent from either party there.
It really is just utter fools trying to fucking, like, cuck the largest guy in the room.
Yes.
But overall, like, for the most part, that episode is just kind of perfect.
Yeah, especially with Igor trying to, like, make up for everything by being Vlad's lawyer, and then, of course, setting up the lie of Mina being a werewolf.
Yeah, I like it. I wrote in... Let's see what I wrote in my notes was, I also went, like, this episode's so fucking loaded.
Yes.
Just because I like just the way they talk about Mina and the Count, their relationship.
Yes.
Like you're saying you have a healthy, loving relationship with this little girl.
Yes.
Like, oh, exactly what do you do? Like, oh, we do all kinds of stuff.
Like, disgusting.
It's monsters like you who give monsters like us a good name.
Fatality.
Yes. I will say from that moment onward, I would want more episodes of whenever the monsters are, like, around for, like, as Vlad's friends, having Mina, maybe not every time, but, like, maybe making a point of every so often, it's like, oh, it's a full moon, so you gotta dress up tonight.
Yeah, like, actually keep, like, Igor's the one that, like, has to keep track on like, oh, these guys are gonna be here today, Mina's here, it's the full moon, you gotta put on this.
It's like, ooh, dress up.
Yeah, it's dress up time again, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
It's that time of the month again.
Ah, yes.
I just, like, having, God, imagine, like, her, like, then once she's, like, old, once she actually starts to come of age, and, like, she's just already been, like, almost, like, living with this sort of concept in mind. Just, it's different now.
Yeah.
Like, imagine, like, that's like, well, soon it's gonna start becoming, like, that time of the month, like, when I become a werewolf? What?
Say what now? Like, nothing, Dad.
Ginger snaps.
But yeah, that, and then, like, which then you could play with the space of, if you wanted, having interactions with, like, an actual werewolf. I bet that would be another moment of, like, Vlad panicking.
Yeah. I mean, considering the whole jury of werewolves didn't seem to, like, question her.
To be fair, they were far away, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. They wouldn't be able to, like... And there was a bunch of other monsters there. Probably have a lot of foul smells.
Yeah. And also, that's just, like, what? Like, a couple minutes of interaction. Doesn't... How much, like, social cues you're gonna question in that amount of time.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely like... I like that idea. What else did I write? Yeah. Sexy lawyer Igor to the rescue.
Yes, that reminds me, something I've thought about. I thought about this to the point of, as people should by now within the video see that I drew Igor wearing his traditional, like, Quasimodo outfit. I had originally debated about putting Igor in a suit because I liked the idea of, as the series goes on and it becomes more of a, like, balanced dynamic, Igor being allowed to, like, kind of leave the servant role a bit more and, like, actually allowed to, like, dress up.
I love that it's like you're no longer my servant, you're now my butler.
Oh, I don't know what to say.
But master! Like,
Hey, you have him, like, pulling out a, like, jewelry box or whatever and just a bow tie.
yeah.
But yeah, like, that was something I wanted to, like, have within this show, like, for this hypothetical reboot. The helping be a visual cue change as well.
Yes.
So, like, oh, are we talking about pre-suit Igor or post-suit Igor?
Pre-drip Igor.
Yes. Then, from there on, then we have Frankenfrog, which that's purposely the last episode on the list because after revitalizing a frog during, like, science class and the frog just kind of terrorizing everyone, you have Vlad and Igor needing to go to the school to kind of fix everything so that Mina doesn't... I imagine, like, partially so Mina doesn't get in trouble, but I also imagine it's the thing of, like, oh, so people don't question, like, where a little girl learned how to raise the dead.
There better not be any walking dead up there!
Yeah. And like, the only solve the problem was just to get another reanimated guy.
Yeah, in which, like, bringing the Frankenstein's monster down. And, like, oh, my new friend, Little Frog. And then because he sees Mina and doesn't, like, question it, like, why am I out of school? It's like, oh, yeah, the little werewolf kid, of course. Gotta go save Vlad's friend.
Yeah. And I like the way... Igor is also very relaxed here. Like, I mean, it's still a thing of like him being very like making, he's playing a parental role there in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But Mina's only been here an hour.
Yes.
But it's like clearly, I don't know, it just seems generally just a lot more comfortable with the whole situation. And it's just, being responsible.
Yes.
Something, I was, it's something that I like talking about like, Nick the Dick.
Yes, I was gonna bring up Nick as well. I was just kind of waiting.
Yeah, I like him a lot more in this episode.
Yes.
Because I do love me, like, those sort of, like, just menace characters, like, troublemaker, like, I love the personality of a bully.
When they're not bullying people.
Like, I want them to be a jerk, but they don't do anything of consequence.
Yeah, I just need them to love everyone aggressively.
Yes.
Or just, just be a cool dude, but aggressively.
Yeah, I think having him lean a bit more towards a Calvin Menace personality, like, works very well. And I also like the idea of setting from, like, that point onward, him kind of becoming friends with Mina, like, very much like Buford from Phineas and Ferb becoming friends with the rest of the kids, and kind of starting to get wrapped up in stuff when it becomes, like, school episodes.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and I think especially with, like, the way it would build here is, like, specifically this idea of him, and like, this works very well with the idea of the best friend episodes instead being a thing about her impressing everyone by actually being able to be scary.
Yes.
Is that she basically earns his respect.
Respect. Yes, that's what I was referencing.
But yeah, like, just like, like, just over. It's the typical, like, you have, like, this menace kid just, like, very clearly, like, just before, even at the very, in that episode, like, he gets the vibe of, like, clearly being, like, pulling her pigtails, because he, like, goes out of his way to, like, take her bus so he can tease her. Like, and then he seems so upset when she's not around.
Yes.
Like, I feel like most bullies, when they're, like, the bullies that really are just, like, that don't have, like, where the motive is just to, like, take their anger out on someone who's weak, they don't put that much effort into it. They will just, because the point is that it's an easy target.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's opportunity.
Exactly. So, like, here, it definitely comes across as a sort of, like, get out of my school type of deal.
Yes.
Because, look at this kid. Like, I'm sure he actually, like, he probably thinks, like, the idea of having a vampire for a best friend is really cool.
Yes.
But, like, of course he would mock this, because if it was true, he would be hella jealous, so it's easier to just be like, nah, it's not true, you're just lying and you're being cringe.
Yes. Like, look at this girl, she's cringe.
Yeah, I wish I had a vampire bestie.
Instead, I got these two goons. Is he talking about us?
Oh. But yeah, so, like, yeah, but this is, like, I just, it's interesting just how much, like, affection I could gain for Nick just from him simply looking concerned and asking Mina and the other girl, just like, does this look right to you? Like, about dissecting the frog.
Yes.
Because he looks like he really cares.
Yes.
Like, he's just an abrasive guy. Like, yeah, he pushes Mina out of the way when the frog comes to life. But, like, that's just him being thoughtless.
Yes. It comes more, like, as impulse control yet again. And also, like, maybe a bit of, like, entitled, like, selfishness that kids can't have,
I like the idea of having Nick just be around more and developing. Like, that's something that one fanfic author got right.
Yes.
Even if I'm not sure about where they decided to go with those things.
Yeah, I wouldn't make him, like, go the route of, like, even more antagonistic until having, like, that moment of like, no, this is too far. I'm gonna save Mina. I don't want Mina dead. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's not gonna go like the fucking Jamie from Scary Godmother.
Yeah, that's a bit too far, but I do like just the idea of like, oh yeah, like allowing this character to have the time to develop more and having it kind of go more towards a positive direction as the show goes on, and allowing there to be a friendship of sort. I can still see him and Mina having moments of like butting heads. But, like, I don't know, like, that's just a thing that strong-willed kids are gonna do anyway.
Yeah, I like that because it gives an opportunity to have him, like, not be a full-on bully that people wouldn't want to, that the protagonist wouldn't want to be around. That gives the opportunity for him to be around more and be an instigator and be someone that can be, the source of trouble.
Yes.
Because sometimes you just have that one friend that sucks.
Yeah, Mica, sometimes you do.
Yeah, Steve. Vampire Hunter Steve. Our remake should have Vampire Hunter Steve.
But yeah, like, that, and then I think it allows for, again, more school-based episodes that kind of, like, ends up mixing with paranormal, whether it be, like, something paranormal happening at school, or Mina solving, like, school-based problems by, like, a paranormal twist, and then, like, having Nick kind of there to react one way or the other. I also think I would lead up to the idea of there being, like, a special, whether it's, like, season finale or something, of Nick actually discovering Vlad. And, like, because, like, there's one thing is, like, especially if we go based off of how we were talking about doing the second episode centered around being scary costume sort of stuff. And so this allows him to find out about Vlad in another way, post being, like, Mina's friend by that point.
Yeah, also, like, that feels like then you can sort of play with the idea of the whole more thing of, like, friends keeping secrets from each other.
Yeah. Also, as one, being mad, but two, also being concerned, because, like, wow, Mina's hanging around a vampire. You know vampires kill people, right?
They're, like, super cool. I would want to hang out with me.
Yeah.
I just like a billion different thoughts, like, oh no, it's like, oh, how dare she keep this really cool secret from me? And then it's like, oh wait, this is like dangerous, isn't it? But then, and also like, man, that's like so cool. Why would she even hang out with me?
Yeah, like,
she's like making fun of me behind my back.
Yeah, like, so much stuff building up, and then, like, him building up to a thing of, like, I'm gonna expose the vampire, whether it be to, like, you know, a whole town situation, or at least to, like, Mina's dad.
Yeah, I like that, because then instead of it being, you know, it basically does the opposite of what, like, this other, like, fanfic author, like, did with their synopsis, with their being build up of, like, him, like, just being a bad guy, essentially, only to, like, have a turnaround at the end, but instead it's this build up of, like, him going through, like, an arc of becoming a better person, or becoming closer to Mina, being part of, like, more part of a friend group, being less of a bully.
Yes.
And then right at the peak, when, like, she's essentially, by that point, he's essentially, like, one of his best friends. And then he finds out about this. Like, that's gonna hurt. So he's gonna raise hell.
Yeah, it's like, I gotta go with my feelings right now. My feeling says I'm gonna tell everybody, and I'm gonna, like, make it so that you can't be friends with them anymore.
Like, I'm gonna, because this hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna say it, but it did. And so I'm gonna hurt your feelings even more by not really, but, you know, that's all he's thinking about, is that, like, this will hurt, you know, not thinking of the longer consequences.
Yes. I will say, what I would do is, because I feel like to set this idea up, I would want a episode somewhere before this that was more of a, maybe, like, Nick point of view episode. So you get used to the idea of, like, oh yeah, he's going to be, like, a bit more of a main character.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's the thing with all those, like, fake episodes, synopsis, like, there are some parts, like you said, there are some episodes there that definitely feel like something you'd see in like, you could imagine Mina and the Count doing as a cartoon.
especially in like their setups, and it's just the stuff that tended to stick out in those episodes premises were more stuff like, who the heck are these characters?
Yeah.
Because like nothing has been established or introduced, and it's like I do like the idea of Mina having like a larger friend group, but I do also think that like it's good to not have them be too prominent, because at the end of the day, this is supposed to be focusing on her and Vlad's like relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like Nick like sticks out enough as a character and is interesting enough that I want to see more of him.
Yes, I agree full-heartedly. And then having it so that I think it becomes, again, a good character for Mina to bounce off of during those more school and outside of monster episodes. Kind of a bit more like towards reality, like having someone to bounce off of and being eared towards Mina's like problems, or even instigating some of the problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end though, like I do think, because like by that point Nick does care about Mina, it being a thing of like ultimately choosing to not tell anybody about it. And
I could totally see him like coming really far and making people believe it, and then like realizing last minute like, oh, what he's doing is wrong, and he regrets it. So the way to get away from it is obviously him just going like, prank, bro, you were so prank, oh my god, I can't believe you guys believe me.
you're like, ha, why would you guys even believe this? Vampires aren't real.
And then everyone's like, oh god, we should have thought, oh, of course.
Like, man, we fucking hate Nick.
Yeah. He just took a bullet like that. I love that. Like, man, we thought we were like starting to be like cooler, and then you just pull something like this, just scaring everyone. Like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah, and then essentially only for like everyone to like kind of dissipate. Only then you have like Mina, and then like maybe in the background Vlad hiding behind like a very shadowed tree or something, like kind of being all thank you.
Because he can live with everyone else thinking he's just like a menace crying wolf. If it means keeping the real ones close.
Yeah. Like, well, who cares about these guys? They're background characters. Mina's like, what does that mean?
They're NPCs.
Not even real.
They're not alphas like us, Mina.
Like, oh, okay. Vlad just kind of looks like alpha, huh?
like I need to introduce you to an actual werewolf one of these days.
Like, oh, how embarrassing. One other thing to note,
Yes.
that I have on my list of notes is, and this would be something to like have to like bring up at one point, whether this is like a beginning of next season or whatever, is the reintroduction of Mina's mom as like Monster Hunter, like Van Helsing character.
Yeah, that was like an idea that I had that I like I remember that just popped off like last week when we were watching stuff. I was like, hey, like we don't see, because I was thinking about the fact that it's like, yeah, we don't know where the mom is, or if like because the mom doesn't seem to be in the picture, but we don't know why.
Yes.
So it could either be a thing of like, divorce. Is she divorced, or is she dead? Is she just a business mom?
Yes. I personally like the idea of them being divorced, just because that's not something even to this day that pops up a lot in cartoons.
No, the only one that I could think of is like El Tigre.
And then you also have like the introduction of like remarriage in. Oh, actually, divorce does come up in Phineas and Ferb.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
But again, that's not a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And I think like really leaning into like, oh yeah, all types of families. Especially with this being kind of one of the focus of like found family. I think showing like, oh, families come in all different varieties.
And then it would be kind of fun because then, especially if you want to keep like the boarding house for young women still be like Myers, then the Van Helsing could be Mina's mom. She just got her maiden name back.
Yeah.
So Mina's got fucking Helsing blood in her. Like a fucking Guillermo over here.
Like, You never told me you were a Helsing. It's like, I'm not. I'm a Harper.
Aw.
I think, again, having it with them divorced, it would make more sense of why Mom doesn't, like, appear as much. I mean, of course, you could also have, like, her being a business mom always going overseas sort of stuff, which, to be fair, you could still do that even with being divorced. But I was thinking just really leaning into why she only shows up sometimes, and then that being, like, a thing that scares the heck out of Vlad while everyone else is kind of ignorant to why that's a problem.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I also prefer the idea of her not, like, maybe being a bit suspicious at times of, like, what a weird guy, but I don't want her to be actively hunting, like, Vlad the whole time. I think it's funnier if that is something that she does and you hear, like, adventures of her from time to time, like some of the weird stuff that she's done, but then she, like, covers it up and is like, I mean, I did this instead.
Yeah, like you can see, like she's clearly got like, you know, a stake, like just got some fucking like a silver stake like wrapped around her thigh, like when he, you know, like by like wrapped on like to what do you call it?
Attached to a garter or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, just like the like shows you can just sort of see slip from by like for a second due to like due to her having to like step in a certain way or something, and Vlad catches it and he's like, ah!
Yeah, like really lean into like only him being the one that's like aware of what's going on, because you have like Mina and like maybe her dad or whoever else might be around at the time. They clearly don't get the subtext that she's lying about this monster hunter life that she has and just like being really bad at it. And then in turn, she also doesn't catch on to like all the obvious signs that Vlad specifically is a vampire, which I imagine probably because by this point, again, if you save this for like season 2, or at least like later on in season 1 or whatever, it gets enough time to show that like Vlad has like lost a lot of his more vampiric traits when it comes to like personality. And so it kind of becomes a thing of like, oh yeah, that would accidentally disguise him from her, because it's like, oh, you're not what vampires are supposed to be.
Yeah, like he's kind of like unlearned a lot of like the sort of behavior of just like acting creepy on purpose, you know?
Yeah.
So now he's just this weird European blue dude.
With a skin condition.
Like, it's a case of anemia.
See, I was about to say that, like, her, like, leaning in is like, why is your skin blue? Only for Mina, like, as Vlad's freaking out, Mina to just, like, oh, he has blood issues. To have the mother go like, that does explain why you're cold to the touch. Bad circulation, huh? My mother was like that.
Yeah.
I do love the idea of like her being completely oblivious, but but you don't expect her to be, because she's got the total like that no nonsense businesswoman, like strong independent businesswoman personality.
Yeah. Which like makes sense why he's like, why Vlad is freaking out about this.
Yeah. Oh, and like I love the idea of her talking about all her huntings, but using like the sort of more like business terms, like terminology.
Yeah. Also like the idea of like if she does like come back from trips and like Mina getting gifts of things from like imagining like one situation like, oh, just got back from a business trip in Japan, and you find out that like technically she was there for like fighting like different yokais or something.
Like a hopping, like the fucking hopping vampire in China or something.
Yeah,
if she goes to China, and then she's just like brought the fucking talisman with her.
Yeah, and then it's like here, a souvenir. Like, oh,
like,
thanks.
There's a hat with a talisman on it. Don't wear it.
Meanwhile, Vlad's like, oh shit, just killed a guy.
Yeah, just like seeing the blood on her hands. Like whatever souvenir she shows you, just have like the horrifying like flash to each, like to her fighting some monster like from his perspective, because he can recognize what monster it belongs to.
Yeah.
So he's just imagining them getting killed by her.
Just him freaking out and just like, oh, hey, ooh.
Yeah.
Or just heavy, like, gulp.
Yeah, and like, oh, she's gonna like wear so much, like she's so dripped out. She wears a lot of jewelry, and it's all silver.
Yeah.
And pure iron.
Yes.
This also I liked. I mean, there would be a fun little because we know already that he can't see himself in mirrors, but like something that I like they've talked about like on like say on Tumblr and stuff like that when he talked about like the theory on like why vampires couldn't see themselves in mirrors is that like in old mirrors used to use silver to make them reflective.
Yes.
And that's why they couldn't be seen in mirrors, but mirrors don't work that way anymore. So like it would be fun if he like actually saw himself in a mirror when he is actually like in a modern home and he's like, what?
Just having like a mini like heart attack.
He's like, this is what I look like.
Like, oh, Vlad, you really let yourself go.
Like, it's like, that painter was not being honest.
Yes. But yeah, I like that, because, like, it would make sense why Vlad's, like, near in his place, which is still, like, old school. Like, it's an antique, so, like, why he would have that only for going over to, like, Mina's place, and it's like, oh, this modern mirror, duh.
Yeah.
I also like the idea of, like, him, like, especially if you go in the context of, like, Mom being a vampire hunter. Like, you have it so that he's freaking out. It's like, we need to walk by this mirror, but I don't want her to know. She'll know, see me without a reflection. Only for, like, everything to happen, and it's, like, being forced to, like maybe he's being dragged into the other rooms. Like, really, stop making, like, a spectacle of yourself. He's like, no, please! As he's being dragged, he sees his reflection. He's like, wait.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, that. I love the idea of, like, something, like, I want something that, like, would be something that maybe builds suspicion, but hasn't actually done anything, but, like, that sort of, like, at the end of the episode, or something in a later episode, is that she actually has a pocket mirror that's made of silver.
Yes.
And so at one point, she does, like, knowing Vlad is, like, behind her, she's checking the pocket mirror, and then she sees that he's not there. But then when she turns around, he's, like, bent over.
Yes.
So it seems like that's why he wasn't seen.
Yes.
He's like, drop my pen, something like that. I just think it's a fun, like, little idea of, like, starting to, like, almost spring suspicion, but because it's, like, perfectly timed, he, like, dropping a pen or something.
Yeah.
So he's, like, bent over, and then it's like, it's just my imagination.
Yes.
Like, imagine me, like, his famous descendant of the Van Helsing letting a vampire get, like, so close to my family.
Yeah.
Like, that would never happen.
And I like the juxtaposition of, especially if before, like, all this, having, maybe not before, but after at least, having her kind of brag about, like, either to herself or, like, in a, like, journal or something, whatever her files are for, like, her missions.
Like, having a call, like, maybe having a call with a coworker.
Yeah. And then essentially just being, like, talking about how great she is and how, like, skilled, and which adds, like, a punchline to the fact that, like, oh, she can't recognize a vampire when it's in front of her.
Yeah, because she is so, like, stuck in this, like idea of what a vampire is.
Yes.
Her prejudice makes her blind.
Gasp.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, yeah, I think that would, like, because, I mean, I'm sure, like, if we were to sit down and actually, like, try to develop a pitch Bible or whatever, or series overview or whatever, we would come up with, like, more things of, like, could be, like, running things throughout the show. But in this case, I feel like those are, like, some of the major aspects of, just because it really is centered around Mina and Vlad trying to balance different aspects of their life.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
I like it.
This show, like, it's, like, it feels so bizarre that it has that, like, in the day and age where people love to just fish out old ideas, especially during times like these when they're, like, it's in the times of remakes and people just, like, reusing old ideas so they don't have to pay people to make new ideas. It's surprising that Mina and the Count hasn't gotten anywhere.
despite being such a cult classic by now.
Yeah, I imagine it has to do with, to go back to that interview that I'm gonna link down below. He did talk about how he prefers to keep moving forward when it comes to ideas and trying out new things. But clearly, with the whole like talking about the potential of my life as a teenage robot coming back, I think Rob Rossetti wouldn't mind like having opportunity to re-explore stuff and talk about how to like modernize it. So I don't know. I'm hoping, at least heck, maybe with this video, it might show people that it is worth to like bring back in, to rethink it and see how people would react to it these days. Especially because like I get the uncomfortable nature some people might have with like the friendship between Mina and Vlad, but I think really literally just retooling that by having it a different label of found family is all they need to do. That's how you sell the show.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it also just like a lot of the time with these sort of things, when you want to ensure, I mean, people, shippers gonna ship, but if you want to ensure that like just the general public can feel more comfortable with a situation, is just give one of them a love interest.
Yes.
give Vlad, like let Vlad and like get with Igor,
As it should have always been.
And then there's the power dynamics there.
Don't you see it? Don't you have eyes?
That's problematic. He's his employer.
Oh, like people have never shipped lawyers before.
That's employer.
Oh, you said employer? I mean, it still works.
It's problematic. You can't ship the vampire with a lawyer.
Like, well, I wanna challenge it head on. I want to show people that you can ship a vampire with a lawyer.
Haven't you seen Ace Attorney?
Yeah, but in that defense, that's shipping 2 lawyers.
I mean, but have you seen the way?
Uh-huh.
The way Edgeworth dresses.
Like a
He's
vampire?
clearly a vampire.
Oh, no! You know what's funny? I thought you were going to go a completely different joke with that. It's like, have you seen the way that Gumshoe looks at Edgeworth? That's a detective seeking a lawyer. Like, star-crossed lovers. Like, unrequited love.
Also, I do like the idea of, I don't think I would want it to actually become a thing. I would like the idea of Nick, like, clearly developing a crush on Mina.
I think there's a way to make that cute.
Yeah, like not necessarily like, you don't make it his whole identity, but just the thing where it's like, from the outside you can clearly see that that's what's happening, but he just keeps having, he's just being a fucking cinder about it.
Yes. Also, like, if someone does bring it up, just him going like, what? No, just shut up.
Yeah. And include like situations where he clearly gets jealous and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But it's still kids. It's like, so it just comes in this form of just being like having confusing soft feelings that makes you write a note to your crush that says "Get out of my school."
Yes. We don't want you here. This is my place, my kingdom, my Mina. Like, you said my Mina. It's like, no, I didn't. Shut up.
Oh, man. Just be like, yeah, she's so cool. I mean, she's a tool.
Ugh.
I wish I was that Rose.
What?
I said you're gross.
That all said, I think, Mica,
Yeah.
I think this is an episode.
Huh?
I think this is an episode.
Yeah.
I do want to wrap this up, and I want to thank you yet again for coming back onto the old channel of Snark. And I want to just ask, where could people find you if they thought, like, hey, Mica, this guy, gal, this them, where can I get more of that train wreck?
Well, I don't spend like a ton of time on social media anymore, but I have a Twitter and I have a Tumblr that both go by micaxiii, as in like Roman numeral 13.
Ah, so Roman of you.
So it's Mica the 13th, MicaXiii. And that's, I go by that handle on most places. I also have a Ko-fi by that name, I believe. So you can pop over there and give me a coin too.
I think you're deserving of at least one coin.
One solidary coin.
Just one, just to keep me going.
It's one for the road, sir.
Speaking of which, get out of my castle.
Oh no! I've been uninvited from your house. I must leave.
Looking for more Snark content? Well, you're in luck. You can find me over on Instagram, Tumblr, also here, I guess on DeviantArt, Fur Affinity. Holy shit, I'm in a lot of places. But most importantly, you can click on one of these videos. Yeah, I'm annoying myself too. Goodbye, everybody.